Oh, welcome back, guys, to another great After the Altar podcast episode. I'm here with my boy Jake. What's up, man? Say what's up, my boy.
How you doing? Good to see you guys.
Yeah, so this is my boy Jake. This is my co-host right here. So we are running it back after a long break. We have not posted in a while. I can't honestly remember the last time we posted, but it's been a good minute. On November 16th. Ouch. November 16th.
It's convicting.
That is convicting a little bit. That's a long freaking time. That's a long time. So it's a little different right now. We are not in the same room together, actually. He's in Norfolk. I'm in Suffolk right now. We had a lot of life changes happen. I did move to Suffolk, so going to the Norfolk church and stuff like that. And it's just a lot right now for us to be meeting up and whatnot. So
condo right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's my couch right there. That's where I sleep, actually, right there.
Be
I have
careful,
not
don't move too much. You might kick the background out.
You're right. My fault. So anyway, we just had a lot going on, even with this whole month of December, and it just was a lot. We were on vacations and whatnot, but we're here back at it again. So in preparedness of 2026, we still have a lot to figure out what we want to do for you guys this year. We have a lot of moves that we want to do, and stuff like that. We have a lot of stuff that we want to do, but for right now, if y'all listen to that first episode that we came out with, it was extremely painful for a lot of you. I know that. I had a lot of people tell me, my dad especially was just like, bro, it was bad. I was like, yeah, I know that. It was pretty bad. The audio was our first episode. Me and Jake were like, yo, we gotta fix this audio. So we're just gonna go ahead and run it back. But also, this is our first video too. So this is also gonna be an introduction into our YouTube channel. But also, we're going to swap out this audio with that first episode. Hopefully it'll make it better. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and jump into it, tell our testimonies all over again. Maybe we'll have some new information. I don't know. We'll see. But go ahead, Jake. Tell tell us about yourself. Name, age, what you do, and just dive into your testimony, man. Go ahead.
I'm excited, bro. Obviously, my name is Jake. I'm 21. I got saved when I was 18. And what I do now is drastically different than what I would ever have done before I was saved. It's been a blessing, and it's been a wild ride, especially after salvation, for what God has turned me into now, because the guy that I was before was a very, very lazy and interesting stoner.
That's one way to put it. Yeah, that's one way to put it.
Yeah. Well, you're blessed. You never got to meet him.
I am very blessed. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm very blessed. Honestly, I would be curious to meet that Jake, but I'm glad I know this Jake. I'm very blessed to meet this Jake. So,
yeah. So, it was funny because growing up, I grew up kind of in a Southern Baptist church. So before I ever even got into, into the idea of smoking weed, right? I always hated it because I was born in Washington State, and then my parents my dad had met my mom up in Washington State, and then his family was in Alabama. So my dad convinced my mom to move back down to Alabama. So raised in Alabama, and that's where I was raised, in the Southern Baptist. So I had a very, I won't say strong, but I'll say a very religious upbringing. But
right,
there's a lot that went to that. There's a lot of questions I had on my heart. Like the closest friend I had, because my parents would move around so much and that we lived kind of secluded. The closest friend I had, she was gay, So I'm going to a Christian private school, but the closest friend I have, she's gay. So
nice.
I'm having so many questions in my mind, and I'm like, okay, what's happening? What's this? What's going on? No, she was cool. She was really cool. She was really cool. That's why she was my closest friend. But anyways, it's I had so much going on in my mind of what is, I wanted to know God. I didn't ever reject God. I just didn't know or understand God. And that was kind of the thing that got me for years, is that obviously I grew up, and then at age of 13, my parents divorced. They
Mhm.
divorced, and so from Alabama, my mom, they were always on and off. So there's tons of times where we were packing up and we are moving to Washington, or we are moving to some place in Alabama, just getting away from my dad, and then they get back together, etc. And it was interesting, but this one was settled. 13, my mom packs up everything, and in the summer we pack up and we go over to Alabama, or not Alabama, sorry, Washington.
That's like a that's
And so that's
why
where
that
you could say
far though?
my
Because like that's a whole that's a distance right there. Like, from Alabama all the way to the Washington
so
State, right?
yeah. Yeah, my dad used to sell meat a lot. Um, and so I believe the way that he met my mom was he was up in Washington selling meat. Um,
Mm.
and so he met her at a bar, etc. And so, they obviously fell in love at a bar. And so, they had a family, and but my dad's family is in Alabama, my mom's family is in Washington, so that really
Right.
separated them. My mom decided to go down to Alabama. She felt super lonely there, but eventually after they split, obviously my mom was going to go back to Washington. So two
Mhm.
very distant places, but
Yeah.
this is how it worked. It was also two very different upbringings, because the second I got there to Washington, that's what was so funny to me, is because in Alabama, weed is just not a thing. It's not a thing. Like, you don't do that. That's the devil's lettuce. And it was funny because I get up in Washington and now I'm looking at it and I'm seeing a bunch of kids just slightly older than me. Am I lagging at all? I just want to check.
No, you're good.
Okay.
There's a
It was
couple
just
times.
telling me
There was
my
a couple
connection.
times where like your mic kind of cut out, but I don't know if that's gonna be recording. But hey, this just trust me, it's
That's fine.
better than the first one. It will be all right. We'll be all right.
Nice. Um, So I get up in there, and then I remember it was so funny because I'm with my older brother at the time, and whilst I hated him, I was learning from him, etc. So, um, we see this young kid, slightly older than me, maybe around my brother's age. My brother's 4 years older than me, and he's
Wow.
ripping some weed, out in the open. And we're looking at him, and we look at each other, and we're like, "Should we call the cops? Like, you shouldn't be doing this." And it's so funny because I saw that, and then at that time I'm 13. At the age of 14, I first tried it. A friend,
Mm.
I was battling it in
Wow.
middle school. I had friends who were sitting there telling me like, "No, it's fine, man," and I was fighting them, and I was like, "No, this is stupid. This is terrible for you." I didn't know what I was standing on, and now thank God that I actually understand. And eventually a friend convinced me. He's like, "Man, this is the best time I've ever had in my life. This is so fun." And so he comes over to my house late at one night, and then I ended up taking a gummy, whatever, and
Oh wow.
fell in love.
Mm.
So 14, I start delving into weed, and then I get my first girlfriend, first real girlfriend at this time, real 14, whatever. I fall in love, and um
Young
and
love go
start
crazy.
this is a
Hey,
special
bro.
type of
I
love.
know. I would know.
Yeah. It's
Cringe.
yeah. Yep. So, I'll tell you,
Oh.
we got intimate, and way too young, and stupid, and that also began a long line of just exploring for me, whatever, and continue to smoke, continue to party, and sleep around. Um, and I already was struggling in school. Like,
Mhm.
I was always convinced in my mind, like, my mom had ADD. It seems like I have the same symptoms. I have ADD. That's why I can't pay attention in school. And it became an excuse for me. And then I was way more interested in trying the drugs and girls, etc. So I have an excuse as to why I'm not in school. My mom's a single mom, but she's not really caring at all. Like, I got to do a couple coughs and I don't got to go to work, or not work. I don't got to go to school.
Go to I'm so sick.
Mom, I'm sick again for the
It's so sick.
17th day in a row. For some reason, I don't got to go to the hospital, but I want to go to school. And,
Nice.
and that's all it took.
Wow.
I was able to really my freshman year, I went to a public high school, and they ended up putting us up on I don't know if this is a term that you understand, but it's like the truancies, whatever, truancy board. They go to the truancy board and they're wondering, why am I missing so much school, et cetera. And they're threatening my mom with jail time because, obviously they're concerned. And so my
Yeah, I've
mom
never heard
decides
of
to
that.
put me into, yeah, it's just when you miss so much. The truancy board, Christian boy, you would never miss school.
No, be quiet. Get out of here with that. Get out of here with that.
um,
Hey, I
so
wasn't any better in school, but we'll get to that in a second. Go ahead.
yeah. So I ended up going to a alternative school, which is something they don't have here in Virginia, but it's like think about the school that they would send a pregnant teenage girl to, like it's
Mm.
half days every day. We didn't have to go Wednesday. Classes were insanely easy. Most of your schoolmates are not just on drugs, but they're on drugs, like drugs. They're on
Oh wow.
um after school parties in the parking lot, and it was weird, and don't even go to the bathroom because if you want any type of thing, you go to the bathroom. It was rough. It wasn't rough. The kids were cool. Nobody was fighting, but everybody was just broken. I grew up with a
Mhm.
lot of brokenness. I've seen a lot of depression. I've seen a lot of people suicidal. I've seen a lot of people deal with some really messed up stuff. I've seen some really interesting things. And so that was the life I was kind of growing up in. And I wasn't violent, really. I got into a lot of fights, but my own doing, whatever.
Right.
Uh,
Absolutely.
so, um, sophomore year, I'm continuing to explore, et cetera, and doing all this stuff and partying around and get another girlfriend and all these different things. And I'm still really anxious. Life is really confusing. I'm really kind of depressed ish. I'm a 15-year-old kid, whatever. Every 15-year-old kid's depressed and confused. But
I wasn't. I'm kidding.
freaking
I'm kidding.
Christian kids.
I'm kidding. Wow. Okay. No, continue. Go ahead.
I'll make it a little shorter. I'll try to condense to the uh bigger parts. 17 years old, I'm in my senior year. At
Okay.
this point I've found people I consider to be brothers. I had been friends with them since freshman year, but I had been friends with other people for so long. And I had so many different friend groups. These guys were pretty good close friends, but it just didn't seem like I was getting close enough until one of those same buddies decided to come to the school that I was at. We grew closer, et cetera, and we all just continued to grow closer. We just hung out a lot more. Um, and we all thought pretty similar. We were all partying and being stupid. We all wanted to be kind of the frat kid lifestyle. We all wanted to be cool. And so that's just kind of the life that we were living. And then I had already known him since freshman year, but I got really close to this guy named Bryce. And the reason why I got so close to him is because he was the first ever genuine person that I've ever met in my life. He was really anxious. He was really odd sometimes, but he cared, really cared. Like there would be times where we'd be sitting in my car. We're sitting in my car for 2-3 hours just talking, having conversations that feel like they
Those
last
are
only
the those are the
5 minutes.
best friendships though. Like I have some
Yeah,
friendships like we've done that a couple times, but still it's like those are the best friendships where you can sit in someone's car outside their house for another
yeah,
hour, hour and a half after just hanging out for
yeah,
another, last 3 hours talking. Those are
right.
good friendships right there.
That's what it was. And for 6 months, I got to enjoy that. Like he became like I had friends. I had a lot of friends, but he was the only friend I ever had. Like
Right.
the only person I can truly consider. I'll be so bold to say that he was the only person in my life that I had ever seen up to that point that was unselfish,
Mhm.
that didn't wanna talk, he wanted to hear you. He didn't wanna
Mm.
he didn't wanna he wanted to help. He wanted to be there. He
Wow.
had his own problems, and he didn't and he had his struggles of giving up his own problems. Um, but he was a really loving dude. Um, this is the most selfless dude I've ever met in my life up to that point. So he meant the world to me. Like every single time we're hanging out, it meant the world to me. Uh, so we continued to grow closer and stuff, and we're all partying together, and we would have parties at my other buddy's house, and we just all hang out together and mess around with girls and stuff. And it was really interesting because they're young. He's 18, and we're all 17 at this point. We're just doing dumb stuff. Mm. One night, one of our other buddies is gonna have a kickback at his house. This is Washington, January night. Unlike how it is right now, it was freezing, black ice and snow everywhere. Um, and I had so much anxiety, but I wanted to party so much, so it was weird. Uh, I wanted to go, so I called up my buddy and I was like, "Hey, bro, can you come pick me up?" This isn't Bryce. I called up another friend to come pick me up. I was like, "Yo, can you pick me up tonight? That way, in case I'm not there, I don't got to drive." Um, and he's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm done." But then I had so much anxiety at the later in the day. I was like, "You know what? Screw it. I hate going out and being in these public events or whatever. I hate doing that. I'm just stay home, smoke my weed, and go to sleep." That same night, he ends up picking up my best friend. Uh, Picks him up from his house in this street right by his house. Just a straight away up until a four-way stop sign, and then across that four-way stop sign, because he's going straight through. Across that four-way stop sign was a bump to flat to bump. And then leads over to a hill, etc. My other buddy, sorry, I'm getting a phone call.
Yeah, I knew I heard something. I was like, "Wait, is that me?" I thought it was me at first, but, I
Delete
might hear
all this
that, but
shit
if
from me.
yeah, delete nice. Go ahead.
Um, my buddy, he's trying to show off. He's got his girlfriend in the car, and then my best friend in the back seat. Um, he rips the car,
Mm.
and he starts going a little fast, and he skips the four-way stop sign. And then because of the black ice as well, he hits the bump and then bottoms out, or he goes from the bump to flat to bump and bottoms out after that first bump. And then the car starts losing traction, and uh on the side streets of these houses were these super tall trees that were actually there to block cars that had actually ended up running into the houses there previously. This had happened to people. I think this has happened to a specific house, I think twice before. And so they built these trees and these rocks, these big boulders out in front to block the cars. So they ended up hitting a big boulder, um, and wrapping around a tree. Just like that. My best friend's dead. Um, my other buddy survives. His girlfriend gets impaled by the car door, but she survives. Um, you got to think about it. Like, I was growing up in brokenness. I wasn't suicidal, um, but I was pretty messed up, and a lot of the people around me are pretty messed up. And then life just got like, why live to think? Like I was
Mhm.
already trying to smoke. Why live to have thoughts? Why not just, if anything, if I'm not suicidal, then why don't we just smoke as much as we can? Get as high as possible and escape as much as I can. Do everything I can to get out of my mind because I can't describe the levels of we were Bryce had many friend groups. He had friend groups from his high school because he was a really good wrestler. I mean, he was really popular. Uh, he had his own friend group in the high schools that were they were doing the drugs and stuff, but they weren't as obvious bad influences. And then it was our friend group that obviously was at fault, and that was being stupid. And so us as friends start getting threats and people are angry at us. And then his stepdad is trying to kill our friend, and I'm watching as we're in the car with his stepdad, and he's trying to tell us how he wants to have him killed in jail. Um all these different things and all of this different,
Whoa. Dang.
um, pain, a lot of different stuff that was happening where we have to watch it, like, that's our friend, and he's sitting in jail right now, but I gotta
Mhm.
listen to people, not only him, my same buddy that crashes, he's in jail for this. Another one of I was hanging out with him and this night, we went to this party, these girls dropped us off, and they dropped this one other kid with my friend that was driving, off at his house, and we were all there. This one random kid that was known for doing something he was known for sleeping with this teacher at this high school and whatever. Um, like I said, my friends are not good. And,
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm just making the facial expressions here. I just wanna keep the viewers in mind that well, of course, they're gonna see it, but also keep us in mind that the video, whoever's talking like, right now, since I'm talking, the camera is focused on me, so they're not even gonna see you right now. But when both of us are
nice.
talking, they don't do both of us, but since you're talking, they're not even seeing my facial expressions here, so, people are gonna be like, "What in the world, what's he talking about?" But yeah, so that's basically what it is. I'm making facial expressions, he's talking, and you only see him, but that's just, just keep
I'm
throwing that
just
out there,
watching
you
his
know?
face the whole time
Yeah,
and
you're watching my face the whole time, and it's focused on him, which is honestly, in my opinion, it's really cool. So, I can't wait for this first YouTube video to shoot out, but, go ahead, continue.
trying to make this as I wanna kinda drop some stuff that I've never, like I love explaining my testimony because it's fun.
No,
But
dude, listen, this is what we're here for. Is after the altar podcast, this is it's talking about your life before.
yeah,
Whatever we always touch on to what you have to think about, okay, what's gonna help people, and this is why, guys, we tell our testimonies is that we don't just do it, it's just like, okay, this is what the person we were before, and then this is what happened after the altar. We do it just to be like, okay, hopefully that whatever we say can help you guys out to be like, oh snap, okay. Because we want you to understand, and this is a conversation I had with somebody, is that hey, he was talking to his brother, and his brother was like, man, I feel like I'm the only one battling through this and stuff like that. Like, no, you're not. Like, we have almost the same story. I'm not gonna say me and Jake necessarily have the same exact story, but we have some stuff in common. I'll tell you one thing. So but, we just do this to, but just, with your testimony is like, yeah, maybe we can kind of push back some stuff because, we might not be ready to say it, but, just tell your testimony, just what you think will help people, stuff like that.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I
continue. Go
wanna
ahead.
be able to kinda scare the church kid as well in a way of letting them know, like, the world sucks.
Nice. Nice.
It
Nice.
sucks.
Nice.
It really does
Guys, he keeps
suck.
on attacking me because I've been in the church my whole freaking life. I'm 20 years
This
old.
is
So
our
he's
yin and yang. This is our yin and yang. It's the li
it is.
and then
It's a guy that
yeah,
is a guy that hasn't been in church his whole life, and it's a guy that hasn't been in church his whole life. So yeah,
yeah,
it's a little different, but we're both gonna have different, like I said, different testimonies, almost some stuff in common, but different testimonies. But hopefully it's something that you guys will be able to take encouragement from and understand that we're two men that probably going through the same exact thing as you. So go ahead, continue,
hopefully
Jake.
still not going through drug use anymore.
No, no, no. Hopefully, no, 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 no. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. No.
We'll get to okay, listen,
Yeah,
we'll get
we'll,
to the
we'll,
deliverance
we'll
part
get
later,
we'll get to the
but
deliverance part. Go ahead.
I'll get back into the story a little bit. I'll just say that he was in jail, and then one of the other friends that we had done a favor for, tried to rob him while he's in jail. Tries to go to his
Right.
house, and his grandma's there, and he's like, "Hey, I forgot something there," and he tries to go down to his room to go steal a bunch of his stuff because he knows he's in jail and take it.
Oh wow,
And we've seen some
that's
some
crazy.
sick, yeah, yeah. Um, like when I say I've seen some sick stuff, that's I don't, and so I say this as well because like it's funny because where I grew up at, I wasn't the city that I was growing up in has been rated one of the top 100 safest cities in the world. So, though you may think that you're in a good area to do your sin, you're not. You're not. There is no good area to do sin because where wickedness is thriving, the heart of man is always the same and will always be the same. And especially suburban kids, you don't even realize they're messed up. Like, hood kids got
Mhm,
respect sometimes. Suburban kids,
mhm.
they want to do everything that they possibly can to be able to try and delve into it and then hide it so that they can still live like a suburban kid.
I will testify to that one. I was in a gated
Yeah,
community we in Florida, so I will definitely testify to that one, but I'll do that later. Go ahead.
yeah. Um, so Anyways, my best friend dies, and I'm struggling with it, obviously. Depressed. Nobody's there. Yes, so I spent 2 weeks at my buddy's house, because I couldn't go to sleep by myself. There's no way. Couldn't go to sleep by myself. I had to spend 2 weeks at his house, and thank God that his parents were there to let us in or let me in. Obviously, they're caring. Um, but then I go back to my house and I love my mom, but she wasn't there, like, at all. Um, she just wasn't there. Didn't didn't care. Um wouldn't ask, wouldn't worry, and I
Yeah.
really was able to freely do whatever. I gave the respect of trying to sneak out, but if I just wanted to walk out the door, I could, you
Oh,
know?
wow.
I tried to do whatever I could to respect as if my mom was watching, but wasn't there, you know?
Right.
So, I'm battling by myself and getting, uh, a lot of pain and abusing a lot of drugs, and I end up getting this girlfriend after a couple or after I was partying a lot. Probably was like 5, 6 months after that, just to try and cope with a lot of the pain. Because I would get these girlfriends to be like, "Oh, let me just confide in you all the time, whatever."
I've done that too.
Stupid idea.
Yep, I did that too. It's
Yeah. So and obviously that doesn't work because
nope,
it doesn't make
not
any
at all.
sense.
It does not make
Yep.
sense at all. But I'll, get into that later. Like I said, things in common here. Like I
Yeah.
said.
Yeah. But, so I don't think I'll have anything much left out of telling my testimony. It's all the same, all the same. Stupid stuff, stupid
But okay,
mistakes, doing stupid partying.
right,
Well,
stupid stuff. But like,
let
when
me
did
let me get
you?
into,
Go ahead.
yeah, 6 to 8 months after he passed, I decided I was able to let a thought in that was knocking at my door, knocking in my
Mhm.
head for a long time, but I wouldn't let it in. I didn't wanna let it in because it hurt too much. Anybody who's experienced trauma or loss or anything like that, they can understand that it's a type of pain that is almost the way that I can describe it is at like the core of your chest. And any thought can literally send what feels like thorns that come out and stab from your insides out from your body. Um, any thought, any nick of just of a memory of that person. I used to have music that I couldn't listen to Akon for forever because he loved Akon. And I'd be trying to work, and they'd play Akon, and I'd be literally froze. Um, so 6 to 8 months after that, I let a thought in my mind, why? The thought of just why, because there's a weird thing that happened with that. So Bryce was not my best friend. He was not just my best friend. He was actually everybody's best friend. I didn't know this until after he passed. Obviously, everybody says that. Everybody wants the attention of oh, I loved him so
That
much.
one bre
Yeah,
like that
yeah,
one best friend, like a brother. Like the thing about right, it's like, yeah, we're good friends. I'm not gonna say like we're best friends. We do everything together. But I know
yeah,
that we have other friends, Like I
yep.
get that. Everyone wants that attention,
No,
that
but
validation.
but here, this could be backed up. This could be backed
Mhm.
up, and it actually made sense.
Right.
And he was such an amazing guy that literally it was like he was. It's to say that he was a one in a million person was not hard to say.
An understatement. Yeah.
So and what I began to wonder as for the why is why him?
Mhm.
And it's not like a why him, God, but why him? And why did my buddy who was driving survive? Why did his girlfriend that tried to sleep with me as my buddy's in jail and she's doing coke, why did she survive? Why all these different things? Why him? And so I let this thought in and I began to start to ponder it. And what came out of it was really powerful to me to understand something that may have been a bigger purpose. What I began to understand is that Bryce was a person that changed a lot of people's lives and hopefully changed it for the better. It left you with an option of, okay, you're going to continue to walk down this path, or you're going to do something that is, you're going to do something that is worth living for him, etc. And that's like a weird theology, but I'll I'll delve into that in a second. Um, Landon survived because he was making a lot of mistakes, but he had that choice to change as well there. The other girl had the same thing. She had the choice to be able to get off the coke. And it only came until roughly a couple months ago I understood why he died. Again, I'll explain that here in a minute, but at the time I didn't have any answers. But it allowed me to start to look, and open my eyes up spiritually. I was diving into psychology for a long time, until eventually I discovered this guy, Jordan Peterson. He was making these he's a psychologist, but he was making these lectures on the biblical stories from a psychologist's perspective. And that was my first introduction post Southern Baptist Church to anything biblical. Like, I didn't care for it at all before. So when I started to hear this, I started to realize, whoa, the Bible is way more deep than I thought. This is cool. That little tiny mustard seed began more videos popping up. And I just started watching and watching and watching until eventually, like, I'm getting really, really obsessed and really into it, you know? And this
Right.
took months. This took a long time. At this point, I'm still 17. I remember I started to find this girl and we were hanging out one night and I'm sitting here telling her about like Romans 8:5 or something. I can't remember what it was, or the book of Romans or something. And as my heart is like, oh, I want to sleep with this girl. Let me tell her about a Bible verse it was very interesting.
Mhm.
But yeah, I started to delve into it. And then I started to go to the church that they held my best friend's funeral at. Um, and so when I started to go there, and even before that, I started to experience miracles. And I started to experience God supernaturally. It came to a point where I was listening to God and he would speak to me and he's comforting me and giving me peace. And especially throughout the time of the depression, the trauma, etc. There was many times where I had peace that surpassed all understanding, especially in a time where I should be bawling my eyes out. And it came up to the point where after so long, I was so done with smoking all the time. I was just crying out to him. I was crying out to him and I was like, God, how can I stop? Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with this. Every single night I have to get high or else I can't sleep. It just can't. And so eventually he tells me, I want you to gather up everything you have, all the weed stuff that you have. I want you to throw it away. And then I want you to spend your first night sober. That's it. Okay, let's do it. I gathered up everything that I had, and then I spent the first night sober. And it was
Wow.
probably the hardest sleep I've ever had to get in my life. I lay in
I
that bed
bet.
for hours. Hours, bro. And I used to sleep like a rock. So I woke up that next day, and since that day, never in my life have I ever had another craving for weed.
Wow.
It just stopped. It went away, and it's never been back. So that was life changing, and it was either after or before that I was dating this girl, and she was agnostic, and I wanted her to know Christ so bad, but she kept rejecting. And so I just
Mhm.
continued to pray, and I wanted this white picket fence Christianity where she gets saved and we serve God together. God separated us,
Yeah.
hardened her heart and made her go cuckoo, which is funny.
Nice. Nice.
But so lost a girlfriend. None of my friends want to hang out with me anymore because obviously I don't want to talk about Tinder chicks and smoke weed
You're a
anymore.
Jesus freak. You're a Bible thumper.
Yeah, baby.
None of the world likes the Bible thumper. They can't see it. There you go. Very nice. There you go.
Yeah.
You got the
So
Bible.
as for how I ended up coming to the Potter's house, uh
Well,
after the
because
miracle.
before that, so after you got saved, because did you get saved in Washington? You got saved in Washington, and then did you find your first
Yeah.
church in Washington or no? Okay, so you did find your first
Yeah,
church in
so
Washington.
my that first church, yeah, it was pretty a good starter church, I guess. I'll say that.
I got you. Okay.
It
God
isn't like
wasn't ready for
anything
you
that
to
we
find a
have.
Norfolk church yet. I got you. He was
Yeah.
like, let
Yeah.
me just take you here first, get your feet wet, and then,
Yeah.
I have another church for you in mind later on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, so I Um, I was going there and it was really nice, but at the same time, I was like one of the only young dudes, and I tried to go to one of the youth group things there. It was so weird because like there's like these young kids there, and they're like, I'm radically on fire for God, like ready to rip it, and they're just like they're just religious kids, you know?
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
no,
Stop, bro.
be angry.
You're reminding me. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole, but you're reminding me of, oh my gosh, because we were homeschooled and my mom tried to take us to this co-op at this like church. And like you said, these religious kids,
Oh
dude.
yeah, those are the
And it
worst.
was just, bro, it was just this whole co-op. It was like this whole homeschool thing where they did like a talent show. It was so uncomfortable and cringe.
Watch my yo-yo
Oh my,
skills.
stop.
Yo, yo, yo,
Oh,
Jesus.
I wanted to get saved right after that. I thought I had to get resaved right after that. I'm joking. Anyway, back to the story. Back to the story. We're going down a rabbit hole. Go ahead.
Um,
Back to the story.
the church ends up okay, so the church ends up closing. They end up shutting down.
Right.
One of the pastors ends up going moving. Some of the worship team, they dip and all that. Joke's on you when your job's just a when your pastoralship is just a paid job, and then your worship team are just paid people, and they're not
Yeah.
doing actual
Right.
ministry. They're
Not
just getting paid.
voluntarily. Yeah. It's for a paycheck, not for the glory of God.
Come
Yeah.
on. So I started church hopping, and that was interesting. That was interesting
Mhm.
because I discovered a lot of churches that were just I think the next one that I went to was like a, one of those smoke shows, not smoke shows, one of the, like the not smoke screens. What is it? Smoke machine
Mhm.
churches,
Oh, like the mega churches?
Yeah. Well,
I got you.
yeah,
It
basically.
was kinda like a mega church,
And
like, yeah, like mega church, like, style.
yeah,
I got you.
none of the messages were convicting. They had a little substance, but they weren't convicting, and like they
Mhm.
weren't confrontational to sin. So a lot of people were going. Powerful worship team, but not really. Therefore, just getting praise, not
Mhm.
praising.
Yeah.
So I just church hopped a lot, a lot. Um, and eventually, like I'm really struggling. Uh, I was on Instagram and I would spend a lot of time on Instagram looking around and stuff like that, and getting a lot of my watching Cliff Neckley and all these people, etc. Bryce Crawford. I spent a lot of time, and so I discovered this random ministry Instagram, whatever, and they were throwing out this invitation to this Discord Bible study that they had. I was like, I can't even find a church. I would love this. That's dope. Sure. And so they're like, DM us for that. So I DM'd him. I was like, hey, can you send me the Discord link? I'm down to watch. Um, I don't know how much I can talk about it, but um, the leader of it calls himself prophet. Obviously, no wisdom,
That,
no discernment, just
yeah,
pure
no,
faith,
that's
pure
it's not.
submission to God, pure submission to God. Please mind the
Oh,
baby.
Lord. Okay, okay.
um,
And where are we at this time? Are you still in Washington or are you somewhere
Washington State.
else?
Yep,
You're still in Washington,
Washington
okay.
State, looking for a church. And so he's messaging me, and he's like, man, you should come out to Dayton, Ohio, 3-day drive, 2,400 miles or something like that. You should come out here to join our ministry. First, I was like, I don't know. God, I'm ready to do whatever you want me to do. My life sucks, but I
Right.
want whatever God has. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And I'm trying to live this way to this day.
Mhm.
Trying to live this way. Yeah, I guess with wisdom, but full submission to God. Dude, it took roughly about 2 weeks. We would just sit there and talk, and he's like giving me these Bible verses, whatever, like like anybody who loves his mother and father more than me is not worthy to inherit the kingdom of God. And that was really
Right.
convicting to me because I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, what about my sisters and my mom here, whatever. It's like, okay, yeah. Oh no, I won't come to your banquet. I have to go tend to my oxen. I'm about to get married, etc. I got to go tend to my fields, all these different things. I got to go bury my father. Anybody who's doing this, obviously, they're not worthy to inherit the kingdom of heaven. And he was hitting me with these things, and I'm getting convicted. I'm like, okay, all right. 2 weeks later, I get held up with this offer, with a different place, this Youth for Christ place. I'll say that it was perfect. Fleshly. I found a place that was offering me a job. It had everything that I wanted. It had an indoor skate park, a basketball court. It had a boxing. It had a little spot to go boxing. It had a gym inside. It had an indoor music studio. It had a bunch of video games and brand new consoles. And the job was to take care of the youth. I love, I love taking care of the youth. They were
Yeah.
offering me a job, and it was a Youth for Christ place, but I remember going to their Bible study, they had no Holy Spirit there. And
Oh,
again,
wow.
this is within the same 2-week time frame of when that guy is initially first starting to invite me to this church. So I get this offer to take a job for a place that's fleshly perfect, no spirit.
Mm,
So I can either stay in Washington and take a job that's perfect for my flesh. It has everything my flesh has wanted in a job, and I'm getting paid to do it. Paid pretty good to
right,
do it.
right.
Or I pack up everything that I had, everything that I knew, shove it into my car, and drive on no money, all faith, to go to a place that I don't even know for sure is real.
And let me guess what you did. You went actually the opposite direction, like freaking Jonah did, and just went. No, I'm not saying he spit you out like.
Now I gotta hide. Gotta hide, Lord. When
He
I'm
went the
crazy.
opposite direction. Freaking guy
3
getting
to
up by a
2,
fish and throwing out a
so
day in Ohio.
So I went
Oh,
to Dayton, Ohio.
nice. Okay, he went to Dayton, Ohio. All right.
That was that was a crazy little experience because man, I left a lot, you know, and I had a lot of friends who were
Yeah.
angry at me. I had a lot of people who were angry at me, but I just wanted to pursue God.
So, how long were you in Dayton, Ohio before, and then how like did you find Virginia and like Norfolk, like this like certain specific area?
Yeah. So I was in Dayton, Ohio for 3 weeks. I was in their ministry, and it was probably I see why God put me there. Sometimes it's still a battle, but it was a spiritual boot camp.
Okay.
They had assignments every single like essays every
Mhm.
single day.
Oh
Every day
Lord.
you go out and you'd either outreach or you're trying to volunteer and gain money for the ministry, whatever, you know, all these different things. Every day is a different chore. Every day you're getting maybe 4 hours of sleep, 5 at best, absolute
Oof.
best.
Nah, nah.
Every moment is used. Every single day you're learning scripture and doing some essay, writing something, you're giving your presentation for it. Every single day. You're earning your money so that way you can earn the money to buy the food that you need and then pay the rent there, etc. 3 weeks of that of getting kicked right in. It was I won't spend all this time explaining how it was spiritually. I believe what they were doing wasn't right, and I can continuously testify to that to this day because of something that I've experienced before.
Mhm.
And now that I can see with a fuller vision, but I thank God that He sent me there because it was a spiritual boot camp. After that 3 weeks, I decided I think I'm gonna leave, and then the second I voiced that, they kicked me out that night. Um, Sent me out with a couple $100, which was good. And so my dad was here in Norfolk, Virginia. My dad was here in Norfolk, Virginia because he worked for AAA/United Towing as a like a regional manager, and he planted the location for United Towing here. And so he was just working it, continuing to help build it up. So he had a company-owned house here, whatever, and he was living here. And so I was like, you know what? Instead of going back to Washington State and facing the shame of leaving it, and then also going back to where I know where the girls and the drugs and the plugs and all the parties are at, instead of going back there, I don't want to go back there. Let's restart. So I was like, all right, God, I'm going to go to Virginia. I'm going to go there and I'm going to restart. So I get to Norfolk. Like, I'm pale now. I was pale, pale. Like, I had no nutrients. I was exhausted. I was done. It was beaten up. Um, so I get there and, I spent another 6 to 8 months, no, about 8 months, basically very isolated, like, I had friends, but I was trying to tell them about Jesus. I'm radical for Christ, so I can't even, like it's not even easy to hang out with people without them knowing, like, "Bro, I love Jesus. You have to know who Jesus is, like, this is the
Right.
reason, the way." So I spent a long time alone, and this is a very long wilderness season, and every day I'm basically just coming back home, and if I'm not playing a little video game or scrolling, I'm gonna hop in my prayer closet and just talk with God and just listen to him. Um, so I'm praying for Christian friends, and then one of my favorite habits was I still do, I'll take my Bible into the gym and I'll just read my physical Bible in between sets because screw it, why not?
Yeah, right.
Uh, and I'm at Planet Fitness, and as I'm praying for Christian friends, I see uh Luke, Skylar, and Philip. Um, Obviously, I didn't know them at the time, but there were 3 young dudes, and I'm looking at them, and they're across the gym, and I'm looking at them, and they have this, like, box of a glowing aura around them.
Okay.
It's really dope, really dope. Like, they were literally in this box of shelter Holy Spirit anointing, and I physically saw it. It wasn't very vibrant, but I could tell, you know, they were in this protection. The Holy Spirit speaks to me, go talk to them. S Very often, or very not often, I would tell the Holy Spirit, "No." I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure." Thank God. I can't even express to you how much I thank God that if they decide to come up, Philip was like, "Yo, we should go talk to him." Philip
Talk to that
had the
guy.
cojones to come
Well,
over and
talk
walk
to
and
that
talk to me,
weirdo over there.
and then Luke was the one that continued to talk, and so, bro,
That is
they
definitely, if
invited.
you know my brother Luke Steele, that's definitely the type of guy he is. He will
Yeah.
talk to a brother. He's a nice guy, so
Well,
he will definitely.
he didn't wanna go up and talk. It was Philip that was the one
It
that
was
walked
Philip.
up.
Hmm.
Luke was the one that talked. So
Nice,
it was a team effort, and
nice,
Skylar was there.
nice. That's
So,
great. I love that.
they invited me out to the church. I came, and it was very fulfilling because it was like, wow, this is a what it should be. Instantaneously, I was like, "Oh, yeah. Yep." Like, I was already doing ministry at a different church, and it was, like, never convicting, and it sucked because I was like, "Dude, I can't stand coming here and I don't feel fed, but I'm doing the ministry, whatever." I was doing, nursing for the special needs kids. Um, it was very interesting, and it was nice to serve, but, like, bro, when I finally got to the Potter's house, I was like, "Wow, okay, this is good.
Yeah. All
This
right.
is some good stuff."
That's awesome.
And so that's how I'll wrap it up.
That's awesome. No, because listen, I've known Jake for the last what 2.5 years, 3 years now, I believe, because I've only been back in Norfolk for about almost 4 years now. Almost 4 years now, I believe. So knowing this brother, he's an absolutely great brother, very faithful. Like the first time I met him, it did feel like that, like you said, like that box of aura, just even around you as well. Because because I met a lot of guys, and they might not be like necessarily like doing drugs or whatever. They actually like look like they want to know God and learn God and come to our church, stuff like that. And you're like, okay, nice to meet you, whatever. But knowing you and meeting you for the first time, it felt like you were part of the gang already, like part of the brothers, part of the Norfolk,
'Cause I was looking for it
younger.
for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah, and it felt like it. So it was a very great addition. He's a great young guy. He's single, by the way. I just got to throw that out there for any ladies like to listen. You know what I mean? Got to plug my brother in. You know what I mean? He's giving me a look. I'm at, no, don't do no. So anyway, I'm messing with you. Really, I'm not. But no, he's a great guy. Jake is a fantastic guy. Has a great testimony, as you guys are gonna hear. Jake, work with me here for a second. So we've already been recording for 50 minutes. We're actually for our YouTube channel. This is for the YouTube channel. We're gonna make it into a part one, part two, as like a just for now until we can get to record into our next episode. For our podcast, like actually for the whole recording, this is just gonna be one episode. Just so we can replace that one audio. So for right here, for this first episode, we're just gonna for this first part for now. For the first testimony, we're gonna cut it right here for the first episode, and then the next episode, I will tell my testimony, and we'll jump back into it. So right here, we want to thank y'all for joining us for this first episode, and we'll see y'all later.